Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, good morning.
Morning. Good to have you.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, Jorge. Good to have you.
Morning.
Morning. Any more?
Why do you have your show at 1600? Isn't it 1601?
What do you mean?
Your live show going on right now says Saturday Debate 1600.
Oh, does it? I thought I changed the title. It just mean the thumbnail, because I can't update that till the show's done, so I just reuse the one from the last show, if that's what you mean. Do you mean the thumbnail?
Yes.
Yeah, the thumbnail is always the show behind, and then typically what I'll do is when it gets to the after show, subscribe today to my second channel if you want to see the uncut and after show without being a member. Comes out about 2 or 3 days later on my second channel, link below. But yeah, so I'll do the thumbnail while we're recording the after show. That's normally why I go quiet after the live show ends, because I'll be sitting making a thumbnail for the live show. But I don't know what to put in it. Well, I can't know in advance, can I?
Got it. I understand now.
Every show's different, so you don't know what to put in the thumbnail until you discuss
I can tell you
something.
what happens in advance.
Well, we might discuss an individual, though. So
here's what happens in advance. You start the show, ballers come in, ballers arguments die, and you start another show. Ballers come in, ballers arguments die. You start another show.
But they don't come in no more.
No, they do.
Except for them newbies the other day.
There's always an except for, and yes, they do still come in. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not coming in every single day, having a full-on tirade against us by way of begging the question, knowing that, no, not knowing, but us now knowing that by way of begging the question, they've already won the argument the moment they start arguing the toss within a begging the question fallacy. So ultimately speaking, they don't want to come in because we don't let them beg the question. So the opponents got thin on the ground from the anti-flat earth side, the devout anti-flat earth side, the moment we stop saying, yeah, okay, you can beg the question of if the earth's a sphere, in other words, assuming the very thing they're trying to prove in the first instance, then arguing the toss about their assumption with us, assuming it with them. As soon as that stopped, they stopped coming. But the normies don't, realise that they're using a full dichotomy, burning a straw man, reifying a model. They don't know all those things when they get here, like the guys on Friday.
Yeah, begging the question is like a very good coffee filter. Just keeps all the grounds out.
Well, if you believe you live on a sphere, you should probably use a sphere model instead of a flat Earth celestial sphere model.
Yeah, they're not going to get away from the equatorial plane now that we've highlighted it. The angle measurement does actually come from the surface, and the only way that surface angle measurement works on a spherical surface presupposition is to take it to the centre on an equatorial plane that's also flat, and then have a ball Earth projected out at a quarter distance, and then an infinite distance to the angle of the star you're actually measuring, making the sphere Earth around the angle on a flat celestial plane, equatorial plane, my bad, completely redundant. It doesn't have any bearing other than them saying, well, no, where we're taking this angle from on this celestial, I keep saying celestial, on this equatorial plane, diced through the middle of our sphere Earth that is redundant once you're taking this angle out to the infinite star, we're going to assume that the redundant sphere that was in no way part of the angle measurement, somehow the surface, it's like it doesn't have any bearing on the angle or the surface that you measured it from, because that was described as being at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, but no one's doing that. So then you can only take the angle and where it's measured from in that depiction to be the ground that the angle is actually measured from. And in that depiction, with a sphere Earth around it, redundant though it may be, or benign, or whatever word you want to use, you're still taking an angle from a flat surface. Doesn't matter which way you dice it. You need a flat surface to measure an angle. That's the bottom line. They depict it on an equatorial plane and claim it's at the surface. We say it's on the surface, both of which are flat.
The actual celestial sphere model, though, doesn't have a secondary sphere in it. It just has a flat plane and then celestial sphere around it.
I appreciate that, but there's plenty of bastardized versions of that where they have the equatorial plane with dude at the middle measuring an angle and then projected out through a sphere Earth to the celestial dome of the heavens. So there are plenty of depictions that have that, despite that not being the case in terms of correct. What you actually identify in terms of the process that you're doing is you're standing on an equatorial plane measuring an angle. That plane is flat, as the name suggests, and you're just taking an angle to the sky. That's all you're doing.
They're actually just assuming that. They're not doing any of that, as we all know. They're assuming that it's coming from the center of a circle where there's an origin and the two lines can meet to a vertex. So it's an assumption they have to have because they know they can't get a angle measurement, elevation angle from a curved adjacent. So they can't do it from the top. So they have to assume it's being done from the center and the sun rays are coming parallel for that to happen. So it's a calculation, but it's not a measurement.
Well, I'm not really disputing that. What I'm saying, though, is both models they hold up in false dichotomy are flat Earth models.
And if this
I
person,
hear you.
sorry to break up the flow of this conversation, somebody says, I got banned, Nathan. Won't let me talk about Synclenser's F-up on McToon's show. I don't know if you're banned from Discord. If that's what you mean, I can't help you because it's not my Discord. But if you're not banned from Discord, feel very chosen one to join and tell us about whatever you like. It's an open door.
Yeah, I'm dealing with him right now in chat.
It's an open door. I'm just letting them know. He's saying he's banned. If he's banned from Discord, there's nothing I can do about that. Obviously, you're not banned from my stream. But if you can clarify...
Yeah, he's answering me because I said, don't tell me what he did. Join the show. So I guess that's why he's saying he got banned.
Well, that's
but
what I'm
who
saying.
even knows if he's telling the truth?
I don't know. I doubt he's banned from Discord. You have to go some to get banned from Discord. At least this Discord, as far as I'm aware. Betty's server. Let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle from a curved adjacent?
Well, first of all, there's no evidence because it can't be done. So how can there be evidence?
Correct.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere at your horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
I'll let John do this one.
Well, if there was evidence for it, if the black swan didn't exist that contradicted the geometry, you'd still have the problem of a curved adjacent. So I don't know if they can say it's an anomaly all they want to. They're still not dealing with the problem.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No evidence for that. Obviously, that's been spoon-fed to everybody since birth. And, you talk to people and, well, yeah, you don't feel it because everything's moving all together at once. I go, think about what you're saying. Think about what you're saying. Yeah. It's like getting in a car and not feeling. I go, who gets in the car and doesn't feel the road? My goodness, what kind of car are you in?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence of distance, not even in their celestial navigation books that they say. Their sun is light years away and there's no evidence for a distance to it, but you can use it for an angular measurement to figure out where you are on Earth.
We don't know. Obviously, we're asking for a distance to it, and we have no claim against it. We know there is an outstanding claim of a 93 million mile sun based on an R value taken from a flat plane angle measurement. So, with that being said, we're not actually claiming any height to any celestial body in any instance. And when we reference celestial navigation, neither are they. I say they because I'm going to detach them. That would be the people describing and utilising celestial navigation from us, flat earthers. The people who use that method of a flat earth elevation angle acquisition, they aren't us. Nevertheless, they're using a flat plane. And they're not inferring the height of any celestial object in order to do that. Neither are we. Just by coincidence, obviously, us being separate and not them. They don't need the height of any celestial object. They just need the angle. And we don't infer it, we ask for it daily. Just for all those people who start strawmanning us in the comments, and have been recently. By labelling a height, I'll point out that that becomes their claim if they want to ascribe a height to any celestial object.
Just a note on that, sextant is used for vertical angles, which are objects on shore, like a lighthouse, and the charts will tell you the height of the lighthouse. So a vertical angle, very similar to an elevation angle, except a celestial sighting does not give you the height. So that's why they say it's not important for the angle measurement, and it comes from their own book. So if you have charts and you know how high the cliff is and the lighthouse is, you can do a vertical angle. But when you're at sea and you need that vertical angle to the sun, they even say, you know what, the height's not important. We're not even looking for that. We're just looking for the angle above the horizon. So we could get the co-altitude, so we could times it by 60 nautical miles, so we know the distance from the GP of the star to the observer's GP. Nice and neat.
By the way, really quick, by sharing the show, I share it on WhatsApp and things like that. And I got a question sent back to me. And it said, question, the objects we call the sun and moon, respectfully, are they real or an illusion? So sharing the show does help. Look, this is the first time somebody has a question for me because I sent them the show.
Shame you don't have an answer.
Exactly.
Well, are you going to cover that then? Shrug your shoulders. What are you going to say?
Well, I said they're just lights in the sky. Nobody has ever or will ever get to the sun or moon to declare what it is. Main thing to understand is without containment, there is no gas pressure, oxygen. So how can the Earth be a spinning water ball next to a vacuum of space? Because the air we breathe would fill the space. So I gave him that to contemplate on.
How humble of you. Would I not, I don't know, not have sufficed?
What's that? I missed
Both of those options that you were given. Is it an illusion? Okay, well, I know what an illusion was. I studied magic at college. Could I fit it into that description? Yeah, I could sandwich it in. What was the other option? I've forgotten now. Illusion or what? What was the question, Neil? Illusion or...
That's it. It was just are they real or are they an illusion?
Okay. I mean,
there's no other option.
Real or an illusion. Okay. So are they real? I mean, again, contextually, yes, definitely, but also no, not if you're ascribing physicality to them in the way that the heliocentric model does. But not necessarily no overall, because maybe, in other words, that is kind of all-encompassing if I say I don't know. Are they an illusion? Well, Arwin would describe them as a hologram when he's speculating about what they may be. Hologram, illusion. Is it really Michael Jackson on the stage? No, it's a hologram. So it's an illusion then. So you could sandwich that into the description of the context that they've given. It's nice that they're asking, but because you've pointed out a lie, again, you've got to suddenly become the arbiter of understanding. And I'm not knocking your answer either, you know, getting them to think about the sky vacuum and what's not possible followed by a question. Not the most humble of answers, but by the same token, there's nothing wrong with what you said.
Nathan, I got a...
Well, I first said lights in the sky. So to me, they're lights in the sky. I can't validate anything.
Yeah, lights in the sky. I don't know if they're an illusion. Could be. I don't know. Real? Well, I mean, they're really there. I'm looking at it. But real as in physical? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Burning ball of gas in a sky vacuum? Definitely not violation of natural law. What we've been told they are, in no uncertain terms, is definitely not the case. I know that for certain. I can say that with a rubber stamp of approved on it. I know what it isn't. But in the bigger scheme of things, once you've realised that you know what something isn't and you've been lied to, doesn't really help you out in terms of what you're going to find out in terms of what it is. Just let me shout a couple of super chats, then I will let you respond again, Neil. Mike808, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Also, Fibre Oats, again, thank you very much. Won't be long now. Show's going to explode. Just a matter of time. Yeah, I think there is a pressure building, Fibre Oats. I don't disagree with you. I sense it. I don't think it's going to be to my or any of the panel members' detriment, though. Just saying. Thank you for the super chat.
Okay. Where it's coming from, I recognize now. This is a person that, when he dies, he has it in his will to be shot into space. So, these things are a challenge to his belief system and his desire.
Hold on. That's nothing wrong with that. Shot into space, does it say? Does it say outer space or space? Because if he's being shot into space, right, what is currently defined as the atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, it's just the gas above us. Now, while I may not know much about it, being shot into that space, the gas is, means that you're going to be infused with the entirety of nature, and it's quite a romantic. I could spin that really romantically without any alteration to a man's will.
No, he thinks he's going to be orbiting and, and one day they'll have a cure for whatever killed him and bring him back.
Okay. Well, he thinks his corpse is going to be jettisoned into orbit and then eventually make its way into a new realm where they'll re-inject life into his corpse or something.
Correct.
Okay, well, I mean, you can think what you like, but if he's been asked to be shot into space, his ideas and notions of orbits and stuff are kind of regardless of what he's going to get if he asks for that. I mean, I don't think you can get a coffin with a corpse in it to orbit, because orbit's not something that happens. So, I mean, it's going to be more dense than the gas we experience, so probably come crushing down to the ocean, maybe? I don't know.
Thank you.
Well, maybe he's not too far off, because, they keep talking about space junk and debris orbiting, so he'll just be dead weight. Hey, Nathan,
that's funny.
Nathan, I got a citation in Master B on the distance.
Let's move on. This was a stiff subject.
Oh, too early for puns.
Right, where are we going? Master B?
Yeah, time and date.
Distance irrelevant.
Let me read it. Based on two coordinates, altitude and azimuth, the horizontal coordinate system provides the general direction in which to find celestial objects. Although the distance of the visible planets, stars, and galaxies differs by billions of light years, the system ignores the depth of space, as an object's distance is irrelevant for the purpose of locating it in the sky.
Perfect. I like these little snips in the middle of housekeeping. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
None whatsoever. Invisible force, it's their god. Small g. You can think of it as a force.
You can. You can think of your car as a Lamborghini.
I do.
I do too. Doesn't mean it really is.
Hold on, I got issues with that. What's with this Lamborghini? At least say Ferrari.
No, Lamborghini. Have you ever driven either? I've driven both.
No, I haven't. So you tell me
Lamborghini's
what's
better. More fun.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. You drive a Ferrari with a very serious look on your face, and you drive a Lamborghini laughing as you go round a corner sideways. A lot more fun. Anyway, I'd have a Lamborghini. Although I'm saying we're obviously operating at the not really is level at the moment, aren't we now? I mean, I'm not saying I haven't driven those two cars. I have. But in terms of me actually having one right here, right now, that's operating at the not really is level. If I think of my car as a Lamborghini, it isn't. But we don't have to work at the
Hold
not
on.
really is, at the really is level, do we? We can work at the not really is level rather than the really is level, like they do with gravity.
I can get you there with a flat plane and a flat plane angle measurement if you can just ignore the flat plane.
So you can get me where? To the sphere Earth, orbiting.
To gravity. You just
Get me
gotta
to gravity?
ignore- Yeah.
Is there any need for it? Oh, of course, she's told me that I had to ignore the fact you got it from a flat plane. I see. Oh, I'll definitely need gravity then if I'm ignoring the fact that I've got there from a flat plane. There being a sphere.
So all you gotta do is measure an angle to Polaris from the equator. An arc angle of your protractor is an actual distance. Bada boom, bada bing. You got a sphere. Take that, say that's what you're standing on, and say gravity's what's holding you to it.
Bada beep, bada bop, bada boop. So that's why you were such a good delivery boy. You had a Lamborghini taking you around.
At the not really is level. Shout out to Godzilla37, who says, it's Canadian, but you can think of it as real money. Very good. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. 106 people watching. Please share the show. The only reason there is 106 people watching is because some of you shared the show. So please share the show. Really do appreciate those of you who smashed the share button already. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Anyone in Discord? Oh, Sin Cleanser, you were getting spoken about earlier. Let's see if this guy's on off mute. Hey, Sin Cleanser, you there? Check, check, check. Someone wake up Sin Cleanser.
Probably drunk.
Maybe, is he drunk?
You don't notice when he just goes on. When he joins the show, I like him and I don't like him. When he joins the show, he just keeps talking to everybody.
Or someone was claiming he made a mistake or something on someone else's show. I was
Yeah, I'd like to know what on McToon. So I'd like to know what mistake he made.
Yeah, same here.
He was supposed to debate him on Saturday, and he didn't. I think he couldn't make it, or he was at work or something.
Oh, right. So it's a non-event. Nah, not much to talk about then.
Yeah, what's the big deal? He couldn't make it. So what? Things happen.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Anybody at all?
No, that's one of those things where you send email to Dr. Becky and say, hey, I want to talk to you about that, and you get no response. And Neil sends one to Neil deGrasse Tyson, no response. That's a field of whatever. But when you have to guess at everything, because all you got is observation and nothing else. Black holes and all these different things that they want to talk about.
Hey, I was told that the 1987 supernova proves a sphere.
Actually, the 1986 nova had a bigger engine block.
Yo, those novas were hot cars in the 70s, though. I remember.
Alrighty.
The 70s novas were the best.
Alrighty then.
There you go. See, we have to think you're a nova to be an astrophysicist.
Yeah, but I'm not familiar with this 1987 supernova. What the heck is it? A star or something that supposedly burst or didn't burst?
I will give you a £1 bet that in order to turn that into a claim to be globe proof, it will require an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. Let's see if I'm right. Nobody's putting it forward though, Neil. I know you're dangling it out there for somebody to back, but Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, it's presupposed, and they could even suppose a Lamborghini's there, I guess. But they decided there's a molten iron core, but that's not there either. And Elon Musk can be upset that supernova was in space before his car got there.
There is no
Oh,
space.
I'm sorry. That's the whole thing. They didn't say proves. It proves that what we're saying space is a lie. That they got pictures of this, so space is what NASA says it is,
Outer space.
or what the books are saying. Yes.
Outer space is fake. Outer space is claimed to be a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. No, outer space isn't real. It's akin to Narnia. You can't have gas pressure, that's what we're all breathing, without a container. So you can't have an area that men can travel out to, and gas doesn't. That's impossible. So no, there's no car in outer space orbiting. That's nonsense. The area doesn't exist. Space, outer space, is fake.
Yeah, but Nathan, we have pictures of a Tesla car out there.
No, we do not.
What is it that they're showing us then?
Not a car in Narnia. I mean, I've got a movie of Narnia. Does that mean that Narnia is real? No, it doesn't. Just because I can show you a movie of a lion and a witch and kids going through a wardrobe. No, that doesn't mean Narnia is real. So whatever imagery you're talking about doesn't prove that there's a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum that potentially we could travel to. And yet the gas we're breathing that is basically at high pressure isn't pressing on that sky vacuum, the area it could disperse into. It's somehow magically clinging to the outside of a sky vacuum based ball. No, it isn't. That's nonsense. It violates natural law.
Agreed. But you got to look at it from a different aspect. For example, they've got everyone so far into this nonsense that they're laughing their heads off, say, let's put a car out there. They'll believe that too.
Maybe. I mean, that certainly does seem as farcical as it can get. But there we go. That's what people are peddled.
Got people arguing if the tires would burst or not.
And then the first thing the guy that put the stupid car out there says is, "Oh, it just looks so ridiculous and impossible." But you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Awesome.
Yeah, that is stupid delight. That's a psychopath
Laughing at us.
Yeah, that is in that instance. God, if I had fucking QE in my ear right now going, "It's us and them, Nathan thinks everyone's lying."
Yep.
No, I think that is genuine duper's delight. But I don't know. He might not know. He might be ignorant to it. The complete deception of putting a CGI car into a place that isn't real. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's ignorant. I doubt it. But I can't prove
stand
it.
with you. I doubt it too.
Yeah, we can say he knows, but we don't know he knows, do we? Spacemen, as in astronauts, I know they're not in space. There's a difference. I can call them liars all day long. I can't call Elon Musk a liar and have a clear conscience because I've got nothing to back it. I can infer it, and so can you, Chocolate.
Well,
just human behavior, man. The way he's laughing about it, he just starts it off with, "It just looks so ridiculous and impossible," but you could tell it's real because it looks so fake. I mean, come on.
well, the assembly line where they make cars, they usually have a thorough system of checks and balances. I can just imagine, hey, we have car number 24 missing. Does anybody know where it is?
Yeah, but look at the whole thing. They got us arguing about it. Wouldn't the tires blow up? Or it's got to be real because it looks so fake. When the place that they're sending it to does not exist the way they tell us it exists.
Exactly, Neil. Exactly. We can argue all day long about whether it's possible to have a car in space or whether the journey to the moon would be possible with rockets pushing off a vacuum. The vacuum isn't real. The area we're arguing about isn't real. The physics of what you're describing in the area that isn't real isn't necessitated in any way by any argument. It's like arguing about the lamp in Narnia.
So what you're saying is no one could say my car sucks because of the vacuum.
No, I can say that. I can say that.
That was for you, Neil. That was for you.
Sux is the car in RoboCop. 6000 SUX. An American tradition.
Ha ha. I remember that.
Gets 12 miles to the gallon.
I'd buy that for $1.
Right. I watched RoboCop recently with my wife. And after they showed that, I was like, what they're showing is how wasteful and, over the top it is to be getting 12 miles to the gallon. That's the average. I told her, so my Retmobile, when I drove it from Scotland, got 6 miles to the gallon.
Nice.
Do you remember the BMW 12-cylinder that they came out for a little while? I drove that once. I mean, it was so powerful, but that didn't get much either.
No, if you got
Listen,
your
it
foot to
just
the...
cost me 8.
Go on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if your foot's to the firewall for a solid hour, you can watch the needle on a gas, the gas tank indicator. You can watch that move. Like, literally, it's moving as you're nailing it. You're looking down at the fuel and you're like, oh, I can visually see it moving.
I can imagine, because when I had my BM running, my Mercedes running, it was a V8, and that ate gas up. So I can imagine what these cars ate up. But speaking of gas, it cost me almost $80 to fill up my freaking tank.
Yeah, nobody cares. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Can't bait you into a conversation, huh, Nathan?
No, not when it
but
comes
he
to
did top you off.
not when it comes to the cost of fuel. I mean, I can give you an interesting story about a gas petrol station conversation, which was to say that when I did that, when I ran the tank down, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago when I was a rep, when I got to the petrol station, because obviously I eventually ran out of fuel, I'd travelled an absolutely massive distance in the space of an hour. And when I filled up the tank, it was quite dangerous, actually, because everything was red hot, blue hot. The exhausts were like, ding, 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 ding. So I sat there going, wow, that's a bit dicey. Anyway, I went in to pay, got out my fuel card, and got a phone call. Never had this before. And they're like, you've only just filled up. And I was like, yeah, I'm halfway home now. And they're like, yeah, but you only filled up an hour ago. Now you're filling up again. I was like, well, I've used the fuel. It's obviously cause for concern. Anyway, that's my story.
That's funny. Didn't they put it together that you were flying?
Well, no, I had to be very careful with my words, didn't I? Because I hadn't thought about that when I was filling up in wherever it was, Glasgow, and hitting the road. I just stuck my foot down and went as fast as I could possibly go. And then like, oh, I've got to fill up fuel now. Great. You don't think, oh, well, it's only been 54 minutes since you last put fuel in.
And I want to tell you why, because I was in a scam like that. We would take them cars and we would fill up everybody in the neighborhood's car for half the price.
It's not for
So
half
they
the
might have
price.
thought you were filling somebody else up.
It's not for half the price. It's at the cost of the business, whoever the business's card's owned by. Essentially, you're telling us about thieving fuel, right, Neil?
Yeah,
You mean
I
you
wouldn't feel
charge
it.
them
They would
half the
just give us
price?
the money.
Yeah, I've just figured out what you mean. You mean you charged them half the price and kept 100%, but whoever's card it was, that company had to pay for the petrol at whatever price it was.
Absolutely.
I see. So you're just telling us about your petrol thievery. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a big scam. You'd get the cards, you'd check them to see if they work, and then if it worked, you would bang them out. You had 1 month to do it.
Oh, God.
Anyway, that's when I was a bad boy. Now I'm a Christian, and I serve God, and I repented for that.
I see. Hallelujah. So R value, anybody at all? Because that's the last
I
housekeeping
always
question.
thought you were a good fella.
He is a good fella.
Good one.
Since that was a good shot. But since we're talking about gasoline, he went from a regular guy and he just said to the supreme being, help.
Yeah, that's just super.
Oh, too much.
Well, let's keep the octane level high. Anybody got any comments on housekeeping from Discord?
What was the last question?
R value, third time's a charm.
Black Swan.
Blackpool Swan, okay? Blackpool Swan. That's what they say to me, and they put like exclamation points, 10 of them after that.
Well, then
Unless,
Anthony,
of course, this is one of those days that you don't require a radius for a sphere, then I guess, you know, we're
Oh, they
good on
definitely
that.
do. This is
They
then
do. What a shit.
Didn't Anthony Riley come in and tell us they're no longer fighting straight lines now?
well, that's something that Adam has as his little amusement at the moment. So there's a small faction of anti-flat earthers that have seemingly managed to forget that all of their lines are bent, and they're now referring to the geometric horizon that we debunked with the black swan. And Adam is very nonchalant, and you know that wry smile you can hear when he's telling this, and he sort of phrases it in a way that makes me smile. He's like, well, they're then drawing a line for their dip correction to a geometric horizon, and I just roll my eyes and say, black swan. You're like, yeah, Adam, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how much sand there is in their ears still, right? When they come up from the surface and shake it all out and go, well, I just draw a line, a straight one to this geometric horizon. What's wrong with that? Anybody? Anybody at all? Anybody? Anybody looking? Anybody noticed? No, good, good. And Adam's like, excuse me. Yeah, black swan. Where you been for 2 years?
Did I miss no Atmo Day or what?
Well,
Was I
that's where it
asleep?
goes next if they double down on it, isn't it? Oh no, geometric horizon's perfectly okay. Straight line to the horizon, geometric. All good, all good. All right, so it's no Atmo Day for you and your dip correction, is it?
Hold on. So I'm holding out my hand right now. That's not really my hand?
Not according to Craig, Fight the Flat Earth. I think he's got on record saying that your hand in front of your face, you're not really seeing it because of atmospheric refraction. I kid you not.
How's he ever put food in his mouth?
How do they
Must be
find their house
starving.
is what I want to know. How do they find their home? Doesn't it atmospherically refract?
Shit, I thought I was there. What the heck?
Okay, that's a good question. Does their house atmospheric refract? The answer to that is yes. So, in a sphere world with R derived from a flat plane, so notwithstanding the fact that this fantasy starts its life with a flat Earth measurement, everything is always refracted, without exception. Hence their childlike glee when they're like, what is it, no Atmo Day? When we said, you've not got a geometric horizon. You can't draw a straight line to this. It's beyond the limits of your geometry. Look, this black swan horizon's beyond 9 miles. It's supposed to be about 1.5. It isn't, so it's no longer geometric. And they laughed and went, what is it, no Atmo Day? Obviously there's refraction. So, like, yeah, that's the basis of your model. It's always refraction. Nothing is where it's supposed to be, ever, including your hand in front of your face. It's refracted at a rate of R, even by a tiny, tiny, tiny degree. If, you know, Craig was to be held to account for this, he'd be like, well, I don't mean it in the terms that you couldn't literally put your hand on, close your eyes and put your finger on your nose. I don't mean it's not physically there. I mean, it's minuscule amounts off at a rate of refraction based on the air being sphere-shaped. Literally, they have this idea that air is sphere-shaped air, atmosphere. And that's got light bending through it at a rate of R always in all circumstances. Now that rate of R refraction, 7/6 in standard form or whatever derivation they want, atmospheric refraction, terrestrial refraction, whatever you call it, that has been derived from an R value acquired from a flat plane. For them to have an illusion, a delusion, that their hand isn't really exactly in front of their face, exactly as they see it. It's not where it actually appears. It's refracted always. So I hope that answers your question, because, yeah, as strange as it may sound for me to answer you, because you asked like it was sarcastic, yeah, nothing's where it's supposed to be on a sphere Earth, ever. Nuts, huh? It's always looming. It's always a slightly looming non-standard refraction high in a holographic projection of your hand in front of your face. Because it's always looming, it's always refracting, it's always 7/6R terrestrial refraction. Sphere-shaped air. What is it? No Atmo Day? Until you need a straight line. And that messes everything up, doesn't it? Because suddenly you haven't got one in reality. Apart from those people that Adam likes to laugh at now, being a mathematician, and having been told as a mathematician that what is it no Atmo day, all lines are always bent, refracted light, always. Okay, well now we're dealing with straight lines, what are you going to do now? Have us laugh and say Black Swan, that's the answer.
Adam's a mathematician. Akumu virus, he's a math magician. If that.
No, a magician has
I wonder
to
how
actually
they ever
perform a
go.
trick. There has to actually be a payoff at the end.
That's
Something has to
true.
happen.
Wonder how they ever go
That's
hunting
true.
with the animals refracting.
Well, a magician has to do something and then do something amazing afterwards that you wouldn't expect. So making a bird disappear, yeah, that's one thing. But then making it reappear in your other pocket is the other, isn't it? That's the bit that people want to see, the prestige. Well, you've got to have that at the end of the trick for it to be a good trick. Otherwise, you've just made a bird vanish. Well, yeah, you can do that easily. Most people can achieve that. But my point being that Virus doesn't have the prestige in any shape or form to call him a magician. A math magician, hell no.
Hello.
Hey, Arwin.
Sorry for being late.
It's no obligation here in any way, shape or form, Arwin.
Don't believe that. You're getting docked.
No, there is absolutely no obligation. No need to apologise.
Has Akumu come on?
What's it with Akumu? He's popular today. Has he become the new whipping boy?
Well, yeah. He's a gift.
When you say everything that he wants you to say, he's a magician.
Okay, well, we've concluded housekeeping. There are a few seemingly new people in Discord. Rocky, are you new? I don't know if I've seen you before. And the guy with the trademark at the end of his name. Feistly, is it? Hello to both of you. Everyone else seems to be regulars.
What's up? How you doing?
Sky, and I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How's it going?
Very well. Very well. Hey, how'd you say your name? The guy with the trademark?
Flatty.
Falty?
Flatty.
Flatty? Oh, of course it is. It's that much clearer when you highlighted white. Flatty, trademark. Brilliant.
How you doing?
Well, we know where you stand with that name, but what about the other guy? What side of the fence is he on?
Oh, God, Neil's really concerned.
Who, me? I'm a flat earther.
Yeah.
He's a flatty too, Neil. You're all right.
Okay.
Put your knife back in your pocket.
I don't think that's really
Yeah, please put the sword away,
a
sir.
standard to make a case, because there is a Glober who has flat Earth in his name, right? Flat Earth math.
That's true.
So you can't go by names.
I can vouch for Rookie. Rookie can vouch for me. Yeah, Flatty's cool.
You don't need to.
I've seen him around.
You don't have to do anything for anybody. Tell them to
I'm not
go
gonna vouch for him. I'm
screw
just saying I know.
themselves. You don't have to justify yourself. Yeah, nice to
Yeah,
have
I'm
you.
just looking for a fight.
No, I said put your knife away. There's nobody here to open up, Neil.
Neil just described every New Yorker always looking for a fight.
Unless you move to Georgia
Them's fighting
and you
words.
become like chocolate, more reasonable.
I always find chocolate more reasonable, especially the ones with almonds.
Well, you know,
I like the
sometimes you
dark
feel
stuff.
like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Well, that's what you get when you're almond joy.
Somebody in chat called me a faker.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Faking what? Ballwin.
Well, that I'm a fake baller. And I tried to explain to him, no, when I do that, I actually believe it.
That wasn't what I was expecting you to say. You mean you're like a, what do they call them? They don't call them
Character actors.
No,
No, method actor.
method actor.
That's right.
Method actor. That's right.
Yeah, okay. So you get right into character, Arwin. In other words, you are, when Baldwin, actually motivated to win the argument or keep it descending into obscurity with circular assertions. Yeah, I mean, you're
Right.
better at ballering than most of the ballers as
Well,
Baldwin.
that's
That's
because
just
most ballers allow themselves to get really childish and ugly. And I don't go there. That's like, even as a baller, I don't want to go there. I think that's like a disgrace for the religion, really, when you do that. It's a sign of weakness. And it is.
take it as a badge of honor. You're a better baller when you go in that mode than all of them combined. They're jealous.
Well, Arwen's very unique in that respect. To fight the ball and be here at the tip of the spear, learning all of our arguments. Well, how do you become good at arguing against a position? Well, you know the position that you're arguing against inside out, back to front, like the back of your hand. That's how you win against someone else's position. Now, that would mean that necessarily you could argue their position quite well. Well, Arwen's recognised that and gone, well, that means I can be at the tip of the spear of all Earth arguments in this position, and he is. That means, literally, he is in the best place to be at the tip of the spear of globe Earth arguments. Now, unless you want to be at the tip of the spear of globe Earth arguments, then if you want to be, you'll be here, because that's the place to do that. But the majority of them know that they've got an audience that are dumbed down way below that level, and they don't need to be at the tip of the spear to convince their audience who are looking for affirmation bias in the first instance. They can just rattle off whatever explanation they need.
That's right. But they actually, if they want to take that craft in managing people and their globe dreams seriously, then they will have to pay attention because they are the designers of it. And to be the designer of it, you have to understand what it is, where it comes from. Guess where you end up with? A flat plane at the base of the design. So you have to be in understanding that the flat Earth is the thing that caused the globe model to come into existence in order to wield it properly.
Yeah, that's next level stuff, Arwen. I had no idea that you'd
That
taken
was
it to
deep.
that.
Right. So a dual cosmogonical society is really the only thing that can make the globe religion survive.
No, I've already said I've given my speculation in that regard. I think that they've already set up a faction of heliocentrism in the form of the what do they call it, Scientology. That will be the remnants, if people want to continue to believe it as the paradigm changes in the Western world. They'll be ushered into that. People become Scientologists, and it'll cost them money to do so.
Right. Yeah, the Scientology seems like a backup kind of plan. Like when the vast majority is like really like, we don't want to have anything to do with the globe anymore, right? Because it's all completely declassified and everybody's just like, ugh. Well, then Scientology is going to be, we got to keep the secret lore of the globe that we don't understand because
Exactly.
we've been disciplined not to, but we'll keep it exactly as is for a time later.
Exactly. It's a useful paradigm that you don't just chuck away a well-developed, intricate web of deceit in the form of heliocentrism as a paradigm. You pop it back on the shelf. And the same goes with older religions that might have been used as a control paradigm. This is a religion. Heliocentrism is a religion. It's no different. So they'll just put it back in the shelf, but they'll keep the idea of it out somehow, so it's not dead because of a generational death, i.e. people just forget about it and then they can't re-indoctrinate the entire masses. They'll keep it as the opposite of what we have now if you assume that the Masons know it's flat. They'll have the Mason equivalent in Scientology. Well, we know it's a globe. And then in 150 years you might have people that are out there that are the equivalent of us but wrong, saying, it's really a globe, why is it being suppressed?
Isn't that an appeal to the future fallacy?
Just a joke, Neil.
Okay.
Well, isn't even like the whole Copernicus story already kind of like this split personality type of situation where from one angle of approach you could see it as like, oh, but they're trying to free the globe, they're trying to bring rationality to the world, and they're being obstructed by the mean dogmatic church, right? But from the other perspective, it's like, no, the Christians, not even the church, they know what is real and what isn't, and that these people are wizards trying to fool them with provable lies and ideas that are just like provably incorrect, and we're trying to prevent that from happen, and it's actually the church that's financially supporting them to do it.
Well, it's directly
And so
linked to
every
the
Right,
time that story
hold
can be
on.
brought back.
Well,
Now I'm not done yet, Neil. I'm not
Catholic
done yet.
Church, though.
I'm not
But
done
Catholic
yet.
Church. Say the right church, though. The Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church.
Thanks, Neil.
Yeah, but you're
Thanks for
putting on
completely
Christians.
breaking my point. Thanks.
Let's get it right then. Say the Roman Catholic Church, not Christians.
You're not the boss of him.
You didn't listen. You were triggered as soon as I brought in a related word that triggered you, and you didn't even get the point that I was making.
Godzilla37 says appeal to joke fallacy.
There's two views. There's two views in how you can approach that history. That's what I was trying to lay out. And when I say the church, that's of course I mean the organized religion church, which is all bad news. That's why I said Christians separate from the church, actually in opposition. But you didn't listen, Neil. You just got triggered and then ruined
Yeah, and
my
it
No,
point.
you
completely
didn't
ruined
say
the point.
that. I'll
And
listen
it
to the
completely
show
ruined the
again.
point. The point being that the Roman Catholic Church has disseminated this information into modern society. Its roots are from the church, in brackets. But unfortunately, that point's been lost because Neil got triggered.
I didn't get triggered.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't just say it right. When you're talking about heliocentrism, it's the Roman Catholic Church.
Say it right is your demand that Neil that he obeys you in this regard, that his phraseology is akin to what you. Why would you do that? Say you're not triggered.
Well, I could say something here because you guys always are so specific on words, and he used the word church, and you
Correct.
just want a specificity on it. That's all.
That's
I
all.
used the word church separate after I mentioned Christians. Didn't you notice? I mentioned Christians and church separately. Doesn't that signify something?
No.
He may have missed that, but that's not the point. For him to interject is not wrong, and for you to say, "Well, yes, thank you, I'll make it more clear," instead of doing what you did, which is say, "You're getting triggered," but just make it more clear.
Only because he interrupted
Exactly.
mid-point. He could have waited.
Are you
Neil could have
attacking me
waited to
for being
clarify.
interrupted?
Neil could have waited to clarify that point after Arwen's point had been concluded, which is to say that it's not necessarily as Arwen phrased it, church, it's actually more specifically the Roman Catholic Church. But he could have waited, but because he was triggered, he jumped in and interrupted and then got the reaction he did from Arwen. Hope we're all clear now.
No, I didn't. I'll next time I'll wait.
Yeah, right.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
The thing is, Arwen, sometimes when you speak, you're
There you
right.
go.
I have to wait for you to finish up because then it makes sense when you're totally done. So I apologize.
Apology accepted.
Yeah. Thank you for
Just
apologising.
don't do it again.
You bloody Christian fundy.
Got some kumbaya going on here today.
Oh, we got Adam. He's
I'm
gonna
trying to be a better.
better what?
Right, but my main point was in relation to the hello Adam, by the way. The main point in relation to the keepers of the globe faith, right? Scientology was that in the future, no matter the perspective as where the people are at, whether they're like, oh, the globe was all a lie, or whether they're like, oh, this globe, this sounds interesting. What's about this globe? They've forgotten all about it a few generations later. Well, every time you look back at the history of Copernicus and the church and the persecution, all that, it all depends on where the psychology of the people are at as to how they're going to read that story, you see, and how that story is going to be told to them by the storytellers of that time. So there's like two completely different angles of approach of that story from different perspectives that are quite the contrast, right? And I laid them out. One is like, oh, but it was always a globe, and oh, they're doing their best to to unveil that. And the other is like, no, wait, there's actually a whole division between church and actual Christians, and it was the church that was actually forwarding this wizardry, right? And both views will remain into the future.
Found.
It's just something I thought about.
Well, I just think that the paradigm of heliocentrism will never be allowed to die completely, in the same way as a flat Earth paradigm that's got useful control structures within it won't be allowed to die completely. And in this instance, or that example with flat Earth not being allowed to die completely, it's being kept alive for ridicule, for the purposes of being poked fun of.
Got a question for Neil and Tenth there. I'm just listening. You like to put the qualifier of the Catholic Church in there. Why are we attacking the Catholics? As far as I can see, Protestantism, any form of Christian church ascribed to the heliocentric model, they're all in cahoots, whether it's an American evangelist or the Papa himself. Yeah, they all maintain the same rhetoric. I don't know of any Christian churches that are saying the Earth's flat.
No, we're talking about when it started, it was a Roman Catholic Church. There was Protestants fighting against it.
Against what?
Against the whole heliocentric nonsense that was coming out.
No, they weren't.
They were all about the power.
That's the complete opposite of history that you're describing there.
They were fighting against the authority of the papacy.
Just one at a time. Hold on, Owen. Do you have anything to back that statement, Neil?
You're gonna give me a minute. I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen
what we've got in history, isn't that? Is it? We've announced there may be a grand Machiavellian plan for the church to unveil that, but certainly back in those days, the people that are more likely to agree with a heliocentric Copernican model would be the more enlightened, the Protestants. What you've got at this point in time is this is still a heresy and would be treated as such. Now, like I say, it might all be all a bit of a game because we pay this bloke to come up with the philosophy, stick him in a very luxurious prison for a bit, pretend to torture him, and then his model gets accepted. But at the times of this, the church is in opposition to this. It's against scripture. And to even suggest it's not flat as it described would be a heresy.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. There's also a PayPal link in the info box below this video, so if you did want to support the show that way, smash the PayPal link. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering Stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!